The morning air was fresh, filled with the scent of damp earth after last night's rain. I stood by my window, sipping coffee, watching the world outside slowly awaken. I had moved into this neighborhood only 6 months ago, hoping for a fresh start after years of struggling through heartbreak and disappointment. My name is Emily Carter, and I had promised myself that this new chapter of my life would be about healing. My next-door neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, was one of the first people to welcome me. She was an older woman, always cheerful, and often invited me over for pie. She had a son, Daniel, who lived 2 streets down but visited her frequently with his little boy, Ethan, a curious 6-year-old who had a smile that could brighten the gloomiest of days. That Saturday, as I was pruning the roses in my small garden, I saw Daniel walking toward me with a bouquet of flowers in his hands. My heart skipped. I wasn't used to men bringing me flowers anymore. That part of my life felt like it had ended long ago. "Good morning, Emily," he said warmly, his deep voice carrying easily across the yard. He handed me the bouquet. "These are for you." I blinked, taken aback. "For me? What's the occasion?" He smiled, a little shyly. "No occasion. I just thought you could use a little color in your home." I felt my cheeks warm as I accepted the flowers. They were fresh tulips, vibrant yellow and pink. The kind of flowers that reminded me of hope and sunshine. As we stood there, exchanging small talk, Ethan came bounding across the lawn. He tugged on my hand and looked up at me with those big innocent eyes. "Miss Emily," he said with a mischievous grin, "do you know what my daddy said about you last night?" My heart paused. Daniel froze too, his face suddenly tense. "What did he say, Ethan?" I asked softly, bending down to his level. The little boy giggled before blurting out, "Daddy said you make his heart beat fast." The world seemed to tilt. I glanced at Daniel, whose face flushed with a mixture of embarrassment and something else, something unspoken. My fingers tightened around the flowers. I tried to laugh, to brush it off, but Ethan's innocent words hung heavy between us. My neighbor's son had revealed something Daniel clearly hadn't intended for me to know. And in that moment, standing in the sunshine with tulips in my hand, my heart stopped, not out of fear, but because it had been so long since I had felt anything like this. 4 days after, I couldn't stop replaying Ethan's words. "You make his heart beat fast." They rattled in my mind at night when I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was ready to let someone in again. My past was complicated. My marriage had ended badly. My ex-husband, Jason, had walked out on me after years of broken promises. He said he needed freedom, but what he really meant was that he had found someone else. That betrayal had shattered me, leaving scars I wasn't sure would ever heal. And now here was Daniel, gentle, thoughtful, kind, holding out something I thought I'd lost forever. The following week, Mrs. Thompson invited me to a family barbecue in her backyard. I hesitated but eventually agreed. When I arrived, the smell of grilled burgers filled the air, children ran through sprinklers, and laughter drifted across the yard. Daniel was there, helping his mother with the grill, and when he saw me, his face lit up in a way that made my stomach flutter. We spent most of the evening talking about books, movies, our dreams, and our fears. He told me about raising Ethan on his own after his wife left, and I told him about my own struggles. For the first time in years, I felt understood. But just as I was starting to let my guard down, something happened that shook me again. As the night settled and the stars came out, Ethan climbed into my lap, sleepy from running around all day. He whispered, half drowsy, "Miss Emily, are you gonna be my new mommy?" The words pierced my chest like lightning. The yard grew silent, the laughter fading into stunned quiet. Daniel's eyes widened, and he quickly lifted Ethan into his arms. "That's enough, buddy," he murmured. But the damage was done. My heart raced as emotions collided inside me, fear, hope, longing, and hesitation. Could I really step into such a role again? Could I risk being broken a second time? Over the next few weeks, Daniel continued showing up at my door with flowers, with coffee, with small acts of kindness that slowly unraveled the walls I had built around my heart. Each time, I told myself to be careful. Each time, I found myself falling a little more. One evening, a thunderstorm rolled across the town. Rain battered against the windows, and the sky growled with thunder. My power went out, plunging my house into darkness. I lit candles and tried to calm my racing thoughts when there was a knock at my door. It was Daniel, drenched from the rain, holding an umbrella in one hand and a flashlight in the other. "I thought you might need some company," he said, water dripping from his hair. I let him in, and we sat together in the flickering candlelight, listening to the storm. That night, he finally confessed what Ethan had blurted out weeks ago. "Emily," he said quietly, his hand brushing mine, "I didn't mean for you to find out like that. But it's true. You make my heart beat fast. I know you've been hurt before, and I don't want to push you. But I also don't want to hide how I feel." Tears welled in my eyes as I whispered, "Daniel, I'm scared." "I know," he said gently. "So am I. But maybe we can be scared together." The storm outside raged on, but inside, something shifted. For the first time in years, I felt safe. I felt seen. And I realized that sometimes, life has a way of bringing people together in the most unexpected ways. Ethan's innocent words had stopped my heart that day, but they had also started something new, something fragile, beautiful, and worth holding on to. And as Daniel wrapped his arm around me, with the sound of rain against the windows, I knew that maybe, just maybe, I was ready to love again.